Thank you for joining me for part 2 of my conversation with Sainfer Aliyu. You better tell me about the Aliyu part. Let's just get it out of the way.
So Aliyu. So I was married to a Nigerian, and the last name is Aliyu.
So that's it?
That's it.
All right. We'll come back there.
Okay.
To family. After 3 months in America, you came back to Jamaica. Then you went back to America. You said you were at the point at the end of last week's program where you mentioned you had a little money left in the Nova Scotia account.
Yes.
How much was it, if you don't mind me asking?
I remember buying a plane ticket the plane ticket at that time was $600 and something. It was very expensive because back then you could buy what they call an open ticket. So I bought a ticket for 1 entire year, and I said, if things don't work out, I have my fear to come back. So that was what I did. And after I bought the ticket, I had the equivalent of 100 US left. So I emptied my bank account and I said, this is it. I'm putting everything into it. And I just took off to America with $100 in my hand.
This time round, did you know who you're going to be staying with and what you're going to be doing?
So I had an idea, because the first time when I was there for 3 months, I made some connections, found out about this man who has a house with a basement in it. And the same lady, Miss Clark, knew this gentleman, and he has a restaurant, and she asked him if I could work there. And so I decided I was going to work in the restaurant, and I'm going to live in a 1-room basement. And so that was my plan with my $100 and my suitcase.
What did you do at the restaurant? Which restaurant was it, by the way?
Tony's restaurant.
What did you do there?
So I did everything from cleaning to serving, sharing, cleaning the tables.
Was it a Jamaican restaurant?
It was a Jamaican restaurant and bakery.
Were you very concerned that other Jamaicans who might have known you when you were at Manchester High and Knox might have come in and seen you doing menial tasks? Were you full of pride?
No, because I remember a teacher from Manchester said to us, she said, whatever you do, you need to do your best. Her name is Miss Richards. And she said, if you're going to be a street sweeper, you need to be the best street sweeper. And that stayed with me all my life. And so even if I was wiping the floor, I knew to wipe it the best way possible. Because you never know who is going to come and see you wiping that floor and look at your work ethics. So for me, that was always very important. I struggled to find my place at the restaurant, though, because I find that I was around a different crowd. They were not professionals. Needless to say, we were different people. But I was there with a purpose. I was the only one in the restaurant going to school, studying, and that caused some problems. And I remember one day we had an argument, a big argument, and I was always very, very good at defending myself. So they called the boss and said something, but it was just people fighting against people. Jamaican style. Sometimes we do this, and so I was there, and they called him, and he came, and he said he heard I'm over here doing this and all these nonsense that wasn't true, and he said he's defending the name on the building, and I said, and I'm defending my books. And I thought that day he was going to fire me, but I've just had it, because even on my time, like when I'm supposed to get there, if it's my 15 minutes break, that's when I read. But I'm packing, I'm working, and my microbiology book is right beside me. I run in there, I read 2 sentences, I go back, and that's what I did.
What were you studying?
At that time, I was in nursing school.
So you gave up the whole idea of becoming an accountant?
I did.
And you headed to nursing school?
I did.
Any regrets?
No regrets. Because I knew nursing would land me a job. And once I have a job, I could work, and I could.
You were working for how many hours a day?
I worked for about 16 hours a day, sometimes 12 the least. But I worked at Tony's, and while I worked at Tony's, I remember the restaurant would close at 10:30. And so at this time, I had to take the bus to get home. Then the buses run on every hour schedule at nights. So when this restaurant closed at 10:30, then I have to clean, and then I have to get on the street and take like 3 buses to get home, and then get off the 3rd bus and walk. So I would not get home until after 1, sometimes 2 a.m. in the morning.
How many hours sleep would you be getting
On
then?
an average 4 hours for many years. That's what I lived on in America. And so I got up, I went to school in the morning. There were times when I would take the very early classes. If there were Saturday classes, I would take those. If there were Sunday classes, I would take those. I remember one morning I took one of my classes. My Spanish class was at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, because I just needed to get school out of the way so I could work and put in as much hours as possible.
Let's talk about school. I want you to list the institutions you attended. So while you were at Tony's, where were you going to school?
I was going to Nassau Community College.
And that was the nursing you had started?
That was the nursing. So at that time I was doing the prereqs for nursing school.
Where did you go? Just list where you went after
And so
Nassau.
after Nassau Community College, that was a feeder school for the university I graduated from, called Adelphi University. So I did a year and a half at Nassau Community College to get all the prereqs out of the way, and that was very strategic because the community colleges are usually, the tuition rate is usually a bit cheaper. So I did everything the best I could to help myself. So and then I noticed that Adelphi would take the credits from there. So I left there, went to Adelphi, and I finished the 4-year degree in 3 years and graduated with honors.